what we expect from Carla is the same kind of thing. You know, I expect her to, I mean, this is immediate against Yan Xiaonan. Within seconds, she's got a great level change onto square hips as Yan Xiaonan tries to throw a right hand. You can see she steps in with a power right hand and Esparza level changes underneath. And she's pretty much into square hips there. I mean, you can see where her feet are. And Esparza's driving from this direction away from the Medela fence post. Like, that's an ideal situation to finish a takedown, especially because, as you can see here, she's got a hand on the knee. So she's driving her over a base that she can't reestablish. Really nice, efficient takedown from Carla, using the momentum coming forward, which is what Rose has to be careful of. Drives forward, and, you know, in defense, Yan Xiaonan immediately was scrambling. This was a really good exchange at the very start of the first round. You can see double butterfly hooks here. Carla jumps and clears them, but in the process, Yan Xiaonan's able to scramble. She's very, very strong, as you can tell. Gets an underhook. Carla wrestles her back down to the floor with that underhook. You can see her driving through that underhook there. And she's also got her wrapped around, so she's got a good control of her upper body here. And I think that's going to be a key for it. If she can get her upper body wrapped around Rose at some point, whether it's got an arm in or not, I think that's her position where she can start to really muscle her around. Like, as she lands here, she is now clamped on. That is a lock she is not going to allow to break. And even as Yan tries to turn and scramble, you can see how Carla's pinning the side of her head to the floor to slow her down. Just delays a little bit of a scramble, and as Yan Xiaonan's head pops out, Carla Esparza immediately switches to the next drive, which is a double grab, control here, and then she's got another drive. Like, this is where Rose's takedown offense has really got to be on point, because Carla's not going to give up. You know, she's lovely little knee slide there. So what she's doing here, she's driving in to her opponent at the moment, but as you can see, her neck's caught up. She's going to move herself in this direction, which creates a space for Yan Xiaonan to fall into. At the same time, she's turning her body like a steering wheel. Like, imagine one of those big old, if you're from England, you'll know what I mean. One of the big old London buses that, you know, that they had a massive steering wheel. That's always what I picture when I see these kind of movements. She's turning her off the fence and removing herself as a support to collapse her down, pulling here with this hand, and then drives her over. Very, very strong. And then she's in top position. You know, you can see the level change here a bit better. So you can see how Yan Xiaonan's stepping in hard to throw that cross, and Esparza straight underneath. Drive and down. And once she was in top position, you know, she was able to work to a really strong side control position. Quite fluid on the top. You know, she wasn't holding position and just stalling. She was working. She was quite busy. And the most impactful shot by a long way was this elbow here. And she really winds it up. And unfortunately for Yan Xiaonan, she turns her head back in as it comes down. And it catches her right on the forehead here. Jamie's screwing his face up off camera. Catches her right on the forehead. And as she drops off, it immediately you can see it. I mean, look at that. I don't know how sharp that's going to be. Immediately you can see that. It's opened up. And then that changes the fight immediately. Look, there's blood now. And she's going back to her corner at the end of the first round with a lot of blood on her face. And that's in a bad position. And this is what I was talking about a bit earlier. A cut above the eye here is going to run and bleed into the eyes. And vision, of course, is a priority for the doctors. If the fighter can't see, then they will stop the fight. If the eye swells shut, they will stop the fight. If you know, sometimes when we see, was it Thiago Alves that had a broken nose and he blew his nose and his eye swelled shut and he couldn't see out of it. They'll call a halt to the contest. There we go. I should have shouted that. That wouldn't have been quite as easy to hashtag. Anyway, So this is the next thing I wanted to show you, because this is what I was talking about with catching kicks. So Yan Xiaonan, of course, has got this cut on her head. So now there's urgency going into this next round. She steps in with a high kick, which is, of course, a signature of Rose Namajunas. And you know it's a high kick because of the height of her knee. If it was a body kick, it would have been lower than this. You can see she's intending on kicking Carla Esparza in the side of the head. What Carla does here is rather unusual. She tackles the leg early. She wraps the lower part of the leg, almost like she's kind of thrown a hook over it. So it stifles the attack. It slides the kick up into her armpit, so now she's got control of it, and then she's into her wrestling. Look how she hooked over the leg. That's really interesting. It's just a very, very difficult thing to do, very difficult thing to time. And it requires a bit of confidence that you're going to be able to make the most of this, because you can't be taking those kind of kicks all night. Kicks into this position. You wouldn't think too much about it, but you've got muscles around there that can be damaged, that will then affect your ability to strike or to grapple. You've also got ribs and stuff there, and you don't want to be. That's Paul Felder, iron lung. You don't want to be breaking ribs and stuff. It's not nice. So anyway, she catches this. She picks up the single leg and she runs the pipe. Really strong, basic wrestling movements. You can imagine how overpowering she must feel. Like she just climbs up Yan Xiaonan, who can't keep her off. Here's the kick again. Wraps over the top and drives through. Runs a single. And then again, works into a side control position. You can see from this top position at the moment that she's got no control of the arm. She's just kind of using her body weight. And, we're still doing zoom in. She's using her body weight, and she's using this elbow close into the hip to control her opponent. So the only real option for Yan Xiaonan here is to, it's difficult for her to do a great deal. There are scrambling options, but she needs to get this elbow inside here. She could do with getting this arm underneath Carla Esparza's face. It's difficult things to do. And in the scramble, what Carla's looking to do is to try and control these legs. So look, because she's got this kind of wedge on her hip here, Yan Xiaonan can't move her hips in this direction where she'd want to try and get away from side control. So as she starts to move, she just kind of turns underneath her, and Carla's still got this control here. She's still wedged up against her back, so she can't move away. And then you can see as she replaces this knee, we're now watching this leg here. She looks for the opportune time, as Yan Xiaonan's kind of flailing around with that left arm, to bring that knee over, and bam, down. Now that arm's controlled. Now that arm is underneath the leg of Carla Esparza, and is now no longer in a position where it can defend. Now the next issue is this arm, which is on the wrong side of Esparza's head. Really where she wants this arm is here, and then the head is entirely exposed. That's the crucifix. This position is, it's dominant, but it's kind of awkward, and it's not going to be nearly as easy to control Yan Xiaonan while you're striking. I'm going to have some drink. As well as the fact that you really want to keep the other arm controlled. Like the left arm is in a really good position right now. If she doesn't put her onto her shoulder, she's going to lose that arm as well. And then of course she's taken a step back. And this is where jiu-jitsu, grappling exchanges can be a little bit like snakes and ladders. Like you make some progress, and then all of a sudden you know something goes wrong. There's a scramble and an escape, and you find yourself a few stages back. You'll have to just silence the chugging on that part, Jamie. Okay, right. So like I'm saying, this is the next arm that she's trying to control, and that becomes her next priority. And what she's looking to do is get her head to the other side of it, which she does really casually there. And then she starts smashing away with elbows. And this arm's still kind of floating around, but what you'll notice is she's now grabbed the wrist. She's got a really nice little kind of hook control of that wrist. So it's not a complete crucifix position, but she's removing that arm from defense. You can see her other hand is on the back of her leg there, so she's got control over both points. The cut's already open, so she's got a good target to work for. There's going to be an urgency on the referee's part, because whenever there's a position like this where a fighter's vulnerable and they're taking shots and they're already damaged, especially, they will jump in and rescue that fighter. And this is where Carla switches the arms. So this arm again is not in ideal position. She's going to switch it. Hang on, we've switched to the top angle now. She's going to switch it, and she's caught it. You can't see it from this angle. Oh well. You can just about see what she's doing here. So she's this left arm is around and hooked. So Yan can't quite bring her arm up because it's hooked around her bicep, controlling it. And then she's just chopping away. And as you can see, the other arm is here. Like there's really nothing she can do to defend herself. She's trying to bridge, but her shoulders are pinned, and she's taking too many shots here without being able to defend herself, and the fight is stopped. Now, Rose could quite easily find herself in that position, right? So she comes in the first round and she starts off with good footwork, and Carla Esparza's under she's not at all urgent to close distance, because this is a 5-round fight. She's not going to be in a hurry to get started. She's going to allow Rose to come to her. So then Rose is starting to be a bit more aggressive. She's stepping in with that jab. She's now throwing some kicks. And at some point, a leg gets wrapped up and she gets put on the floor. And in the process of scrambling, she either gives her back or she finds herself trapped, one arm or both arms. And then she's taking shots. And Esparza's got good elbows, so she hits her with an elbow and she cuts her. And then Rose is going back to her stool, having lost the first round and picked up a cut. And there are 4 rounds to go. That's not a good situation for Rose to be in. So, of course, she's got to think about how she steps into attack, when she does it, and what she's doing, what attack she's using.